All right, story number two. All about Doechii. Now, Doechii had an incredible 2024 and is spilling into 2025. She won Best Rap Album at the Grammys for her mixtape, Alligator Bites Never Heal. She has become somewhat of the it girl in hip hop. And more than just that, I mean, she's getting praised for her lyricism, for her Grammy speech. TDE got another one. And she gave a very revealing conversation with The Cut. And so let's take a look at this because, this is a pretty good look into who she is as a person and some of the challenges that she's faced. My favorite type of interviews are profile pieces. And the writer from The Cut went and met with Doechii and they sat down, had a conversation, and this is what transpired. So let's take a listen. Bow down to Doechii, fresh off her Grammy win. The unapologetic Florida rapper is just getting started. Doechii is tired, but she doesn't have time to relax. We're standing in the lobby of the Civilian Hotel in Midtown on a freezing December afternoon, and after a brief introduction, we're already on the move. The rapper doesn't walk, she strides. Her arms crossed over her chest and heels click-clacking on the pavement as we head to Mazzeria Cafe and Bakery for coffee. She woke up early this morning for an appearance on The Breakfast Club, where she told Charlamagne the God about her new girlfriend, and now she has to catch a flight back to Los Angeles in a few hours. At Mazzeria, despite the frigid temperatures, Doechii orders an iced caramel latte with 2 times the sweetness. She turns to me, "Ever been to Mason Pickle? I just had some last night. A sweet, spicy pickle," she says. I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've never heard of that. I never heard of that at all. But pretty good advertisement. 1 second applause for Mason Pickle. It's a bold statement for someone who's been achieving a lot of personal bests lately. The week we met, she'd gone viral twice. First for an intricate self-choreographed performance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, in which she rapped a 5-minute medley of 2 songs from her mixtape, Alligator Bites Never Heal, while dancing alongside 2 other performers, all literally connected to one another by interwoven braids. Now, that was a viral performance for real. That was a legendary performance. The way that performance traveled and the way that it really was super intricate, but at the same time, very simple because it was only 3 people. Her performance at the Grammys was a standout performance. Her Tiny Desk performance is a standout performance. Like, she knows how to rock a stage. Then a jazz-infused NPR Tiny Desk set that showcased the artist performing her already speedy Nissan Altima at a quicker tempo to an arrangement played by an all-black, all-femme, all-braided band made the rounds online too. Yeah, that's the other one that went viral. That was a good week. That was a great week for Doechii. Though she has experienced this type of virality before, mostly on TikTok, where her songs tend to soundtrack everything from puppeteering performances to get ready with me videos, this moment feels different. She's collected cosigns from Kendrick Lamar. He called her the hardest out, and Tyler, the Creator, who told me she's really sick, like super duper duper good. And then there are those Grammy nominations. Best New Artist, Best Rap Performance, and Best Rap Album. She'd go on to win the Grammy for Best Rap Album, giving a heartfelt speech to boot. Since the category's creation in 1996, she said, 2 women have won, then corrected herself. 3 women have won. Lauryn Hill, Cardi B, and Doechii. That's how she said it. If you guys didn't see it, that's how she said it. It was a fantastic speech. Fantastic speech. It was heartfelt. It was intimate, and you could just see, how excited she was. I'm not sure if she expected to win. From my point of view, she was the front runner because that marketing push they did at the end of 2024 literally had her everywhere. You have the Tiny Desk concert, You have the Stephen Colbert performance. There was the Denial of River rollout, which used sort of a 90s sitcom themed, clips, TikTok clips to let people know the video was coming. I mean, she was everywhere at the end of the year. And a lot of times that makes a big difference on the Academy. A lot of times with the Academy, it's like, who's in front of your face. That's why you tend to see, during the Oscars, you'll see billboards all over LA that'll say, please consider the Boondocks or whatever it is, right? And so I definitely think she was the front runner. I definitely think too, because a lot of people would look at We Don't Trust You as probably the biggest rap album. But trap music tends to be marginalized at the Grammys. And so Future and Metro, to me, that was kind of a big barrier to hurdle. And then Eminem was in there. And so you never count out Eminem at the Grammys. But it was a big, big win for Doechii. And when she was giving that performance, when she was giving that speech, you could just see the emotion on her face. And I'm actually really curious as to whether or not she expected to win. The moment was capped off by a performance of her songs Catfish and Denial is a River, in which she rapped with a fleet of dancers wearing Tom Brown. This is serious, she told me between rehearsals before the show. It reminds me of when I would do talent shows and it was cute for everybody, but it was a very, very, very serious for me. Right after the ceremony, she dropped a celebratory track, Nosebleeds, with a gramophone as the single's cover art. On the song, she boasts, "Everybody wanted to know what Doechii would do if she didn't win. I guess we'll never know." Shout out to Ye. Seemingly referencing Kanye West's infamous Best Rap Album Winners speech at the 2005 Grammys. Doechii's career has been operating in hyperspeed ever since the artist released her 2020 single, Yucky Blucky Fruitcake, an acerbic rye song. Acerbic means sharp. An acerbic rye song about bits of her childhood, food stamps, Lisa Frank lipstick, and getting caught masturbating. The title was inspired by Barbara Park's Junie B. Jones children book series. I haven't read those. I had like Judy Blume, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. If you guys read these books, let me know. I was a lot like Junie. She did what she wanted. She was very curious and she just went for it, Doechii says, settling into a small leather couch back at her hotel, both legs crossed beneath her brown leather boots still on. Even though she had her issues, she had this feminine rage about her that I really, really liked. Since Yucky Blucky Fruitcake, she has received pressure from her label and fans to make cookie-cutter hits to please the masses, but she pushes back. "I don't like making music just for a moment. I like to make music for therapy, for an inner experience, an inner purpose, and not just for an algorithm." When Tyler, the Creator, first listened to Doechii's song Catfish, in which she raps about a freaky little, sneaky little, creepy little whack bitch. Classic song. I love that song. 1 second applause. He said he felt jealous. "I heard that record and I'm like, oh, I'm nothing. I need to get punched in my effing face so I can do this," he told me. They eventually collaborated on Balloon from Tyler's most recent album, Chromacopia. 1 second applause for Chromacopia. "She was not going to let it just be whatever," Tyler said. "She held her own." Doechii was born Jayla Jemiah Hickman in Florida. She says her dad writes raps in his spare time, and her mother, the more analytical one, primarily raised her. She grew up, her mom was there at the Grammys. They look just alike. 1 second applause for Doechii's mother. She grew up in Tampa, a place she says will always inform her body of work. Her swamp princess persona and the reptilian titles of much of her discography, that's all Florida. But it's not only her artistry that's been influenced by the Sunshine State. "My chaos, my freedom, just my raunchiness, she says. Doechii remembers a night at her grandmother's house by the railroad tracks when she, her cousins, and her younger sisters, all still children, tore off their shoes and began racing on a patch of concrete. The whole family was outside barefoot. The little kids would race, the aunties, then we made grandma and grandpa race. We just do it bare feet," she tells me. That's the most Florida-ish. That's the Southern thing. That's the Southern thing. We had a family reunion in Rocky Mount, North Carolina every year growing up. That's where my family's from. And so we take buses there would be buses from different cities, from Philly, from DC, from New York. Me and my parents lived in the South at that point in time, so we would just drive there. But it was when our extended family would get together at this house that our families had since, they were enslaved. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of barefoot running on the driveway. 1 second applause. When she was in the 6th grade, she says God told her to write down the phrase, "I am Doechii." The decision saved her life. "I don't want to get super dark," she says, raising her eyebrows when she looks at me. "I was getting bullied so bad that I was thinking about killing myself. I realized, oh, I'm going to kill myself and then I'm going to be the only one dead. The bullies aren't going to be with me and everything they said is not coming with me either. I would just be gone, she says matter-of-factly before cracking a half-mouth grin. And then I was like, F that. She's almost yelling now, leaning back into the couch and waving her hands playfully. F that ish. I'm not going for that. And if this wash of peace came over me and I received, I am Doechii. But it was more like this feeling of I made a choice, a decision. I am the most important character in this movie. This is my mother effing movie. That's a powerful moment right there. And it sounds like that's where her name hit her. I am Doechii. I didn't know that. It's like Doechii is almost a talisman to survival in a way. Doechii's sound is a callback to old school 90s hip hop, playful, up-tempo, contemporary spoken word, pop culture references, and Gen Z shit posting. On Alligator Bites, which she says is for the girls and the gays that have a passion inside of them and are sassy, independent, strong, but they need an extra push. She mocks the hamster wheel of the music industry, blows raspberries, and trolls her own label, yet still pumps the brakes on the irony by peppering in soulful bridges. She claims the mixtape's name popped into her head via the same higher power that christened her with her stage name. God told me to do it, and I did it, she says. The meaning of the mixtape's title still evades her, but Doechii trusts the process. I know that God will reveal to me what it means later. She follows the signs. She follows the signs. I'm someone who follows the signs. Now, I had followed some signs before, and I was like, when is this going to work out, God? Because I followed this sign. It can't be wrong. There was too many signs. And, it was a long cut, a long, lonely walk through the wilderness. And then you make it out, and you make it on the other side, and you're like, thanks, God. You were right the whole time. What's an applause to God? On Nissan Altima, Doechii flexes her rapping chops and gets cheeky about her bisexuality. She munching on the box while she watching Hulu in just 2 minutes. Denial is a river is a traversing therapeutic conversation. People are a little bit worried about you. Why don't you just tell me what's going on? The other voice asked Doechii before Doechii admits to her experiences with drugs and alcohol. I like pills. I like drugs. I like day drinking and day parties in Hollywood. The shit works. It feels good, but my self works at an all-time low. I love that song too. It's a relatable cycle of self-destruction, and Doechii's vulnerability is striking. I have moments where I am worried and I'm like, maybe I should dial it back because that's a little too honest. But I don't give an F because I know that in the end, it's going to pay off more for me to be real. In my music, I had to be raw and explicit or else it'll make me uncomfortable. I don't like secrets. To record the mixtape, she locked herself away for an entire month, letting only her sound engineer, Jada Love, in on the process. Doechii attributes the retro sound of much of Alligator Bites to her newfound sobriety. 1 second applause to Sobriety. A lifestyle she adopted this past summer to allow her brain to remember things. That's real. That's super real. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was saying he's a chief rocker. He be smoking all the time. And he told me that he started dialing back on smoking trees, and all of a sudden his dreams got real vivid again. Like he was seeing himself as, a running back on the Raiders, and it was just crazy, connection with his dreams that he hasn't had in a very long time. That really stood out to me. Last year, I had the most vivid dreams I think I'd ever had, like from February through April of last year, and it was another one of those situations, in a similar situation, you know what I mean? So maybe there is something to that. But Doechii went sober to allow her brain to remember things. 1 second applause for remembering things. She has started to feel a little sentimental too. I'm gravitating back towards things I used to love, she tells me. The first album I ever purchased and ever remember listening to in full length was The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. The nostalgia trip also inspired the creative direction of her Denial is a River music video, a modern-day homage to the laugh track sitcoms of the 90s starring Zach Fox, Ricky Thompson, and Earl Sweatshirt, among others. Old school hip-hop is vulnerability, Doechii says. I'm gravitating towards the pure skill that was incorporated. Anyone who doesn't think that hip-hop is an intellectual genre, I think that assumption is rooted in racism. I'm with you on that, Doechii. 1 second applause. I was watching this actor, I don't even know this guy's name, but he put up a video just lambasting the Super Bowl performance. And he was like, rap's it's not even music. Give me jazz. Where's more jazz? And like the way he was talking, it just rang very loudly to me as the exact same thing I'm pretty sure people were saying about jazz when it was created too. They're both Black American art forms that people looked at as being devil music or have lacking skill or whatever. And here's this guy in 2025 lamenting the deepest, most layered Super Bowl performance I probably ever. One that people are still discovering and still pulling the layers back to. And he's jumping out the window saying, rap isn't music like jazz, with a tone to me that probably sounded like he'd be one of those people lamenting jazz back in the 20s or whatever. You know, I mean, rap to me is the hardest genre. You know, it's words based, right? The words are the instrument. And so there's a lot of people who think it's just pretty easy to put words on the track because, hey, if you can't sing, then how hard is it? Well, you have to make the words work with the beat, man. That's the challenging part. It's not easy. Anybody who's ever tried to rap will tell you it's not as easy as it seems. And you might think you're killing it, but chances are you're not.
Tomato.
A lot of those raps out there. The women who paved the way for someone like Doechii to come along, Lil' Kim, Mary J. Blige, Missy Elliott, pushed back against the notion that sexual liberation had to come at the cost of vulnerable emotional transparency. You know, it's interesting that they selected these three. I guess they're looking at sort of the nexus of women rappers, you know, leaning into sexuality, I guess. Because I think you got to give Nicki Minaj a lot of credit as well. You know, now you can say that Nicki Minaj embraced the Lil' Kim, Missy Elliott motif. And so she's following along in the same journey as Doechii in that regard, following in the footsteps of Lil' Kim and Mary J. Blige and Missy Elliott. But, you know, Nicki held it down as the only woman in rap for a long time, and made it massive. You know, I know Nicki gets a lot of criticism, including for me. You know, I've got a lot of criticism for Nicki Minaj, but the door that she reopened, perhaps, for the rest of these modern, you know, incredible women rappers, you know, I think there's a nod that she deserves for that too. But I can see where this is coming from. If you're looking at the 90s is when women really started to embrace their sexuality in a different kind of way, then maybe Nicki doesn't necessarily deserve to be in that category. But she does deserve a shout out. So 1 second applause to Nicki Minaj. The women who paved the way for someone like Doechii to come along, Lil' Kim and Mary J. Blige and Missy Elliott, pushed back against the notion that sexual liberation had to come at the cost of vulnerable emotional transparency. The feeling that I have when I listen to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the feeling I want some other Black little girl to have when she listens to me. And in order for her to have that feeling, I have to talk about my feelings. Candid songwriting is high on her hierarchy of needs. When she gets the urge to record, it feels like when you've been holding your pee for a really long time, Doechii tells me. Outside the studio, she's open-minded and resistant to being categorized as one thing. Last year, she received comments on TikTok from fans demanding that she never get any cosmetic surgery. She replied by saying she'd already gotten some tweaks. I didn't realize that. She looks pretty youthful to me. Maybe I don't understand where plastic surgery is going. Because I look online, and that's not in my algorithm at all, one. Two, some of the things that, you know, I've seen other people post, you know, like lip fillers and things like that. Yeah, I'm more used to older women talk about Botox and things like that. But now it seems like it's getting younger every year. Let me know if I'm wrong about that in the comment section. I don't really keep up with women cosmetic YouTube at all. She replied by saying she'd already got some tweaks. Doechii also likes to wear visible cosmetic face tape around her templates because, as she said on TikTok last year, it's the C word. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to risk my channel, but I guess that's a term too. Make sure you like and subscribe. Someone told me if I say like and subscribe or subscribe to the channel during the video, the subscribe button will light up during the video. So I'm just going to say subscribe one more time. So to see if it actually lights up, if it actually lights up. Sorry for the detour. People make comments to me like, oh my God, please never touch your face. If you did that, I just wouldn't be able to support you. I'm thinking to myself, they have no idea that I have Botox and filler and whatever, and you love exactly who I am now. Tell you, man, fanagers are everywhere. 1 second applause to fanagers. This winter, rumors began circulating online that the rapper must be an industry plant, despite her having released music on YouTube vlogs since high school. As a teen, she posted videos of herself having the makeup done by her sister, sitting with her friends in class and ranting over someone who confronted her about selling fried chicken at school. Now, that sounds country. That sounds like Florida. That's country. A business supported by her mom who would help her cook and deliver the food. When people aren't happy with history of an artist these days, they get suspicious, she tells me. I'm pretty detached emotionally from it because I understand where it's coming from. And to be honest, once you get any conspiracies around your career, that's just confirmation that I'm going somewhere and I'm doing something right. 1 second applause. I thought this was an interesting look at Doechii. There's, obviously she's had some mental health challenges. She looks at her moniker and her album title as just being signs from God. And she sold fried chicken in high school. But the way the writer described this, the way she walks, the way she strides, the energy she has in her conversation, I can see that. That looks like how she moved at the Grammys, for example, or, was it Fashion Week? I think she was walking around in basically a sports bra and some sports draws, basically. She definitely had a confidence about her. And more than anything else, I think that this is a piece that I've seen here. First piece I've seen that really humanized her in a different way. And those are my favorite kind of pieces in general. My favorite kind of looks at what artists' lives are like and what their energy is like away from just the music. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about all this. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything. Follow the Justin Hunt podcast. Wherever you stream podcasts, it's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, dog. You don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.